Hello, Cynthia Ann Layton here. Your next action matters. Yes, it really does. You want to make things happen, right? Well, whenever you want to accomplish results, it's useful to ask questions. Begin with asking yourself questions anytime you're stuck, because you can get unstuck by asking yourself good questions. And if you ask enough questions, you'll end up with some good ones, because you'll get practice at it and you'll start seeing results and you'll follow where those results lead you. For example, you might ask yourself, what is your next action step? If you ask yourself that and you're still in bed in the morning, well, one thing might be to simply sit up in bed and begin your morning routine, whatever that is for you. And if you don't have a morning routine, I really encourage you to create one. Build things together that you enjoy to do, that help you to start your day in a wonderful way. That way you'll enjoy getting out of bed and you'll enjoy getting yourself ready for bed in time at night and get into the habit of falling asleep and sleeping well and getting up again into a rhythm that really fits you. And you do have some control of your morning, even if you have places you need to be. One way you can gain control is by getting up a little bit earlier than you need to, so that you can have space for whatever it is that day brings your way. So ask yourself each morning, what is your next action step? Until you're able to put together actions that build a morning routine that fits you. And as you enjoy your morning routine, you'll start to settle into better habits. Accomplishments, real accomplishments. They start to happen for you when you dare to do the tiny tasks that lead up to finishing things that you value. This is about what you care about. Accomplishments that other people care about that you don't care about aren't really going to light your enthusiastic fire within. And that's the difference between one person and another, is that enthusiasm that one person brings to a situation. And that comes from looking into the tiny things that matter to you. Thinking is useful. Matter of fact, as you go through your life, you're going to learn that thinking is quite often the highest paid executive action. I mean, it is an action to think things through, but you don't want to get stuck in thinking, because thinking by itself isn't going to get you where you need to be. Action is priceless. And even when you haven't thought things out completely, it's important to do something, to find what the smallest steps are, and to figure out what your next action is that matters to you. Because you'll have gaps throughout your day where you can do your thinking, and you'll have times where you can sit in a more pleasant environment, perhaps over a cup of tea, and think seriously about the things that do matter to you, and think seriously about figuring out what matters to you if you are in a place where you're confused or things are changing. Because in times of change, you need to put more time into thought, but you also need to put time into action. And your next action step might need to be simple, because today could be complicated. Matter of fact, a lot of your days will be complicated. So when you build a habit of figuring out a simple action step that can be a standby for you, you're going to start making things happen. And when you've got dreams and you want results, figuring out your next action and knowing what matters to you and knowing that you can do something small is going to make a difference for you. Because today may be complicated, but there's going to be a lot of other days that are complicated too. And you might delay coming up with a pattern that works for you out of frustration or procrastination. I encourage you to dare to do simple, tiny tasks on a daily basis that matter to you. Tinier the better, because when you start creating habits and doing tiny things over and over again, you start to accumulate little results, and those results will lift you up. So here's a helpful tip. that can get you moving on a day where delays seem to be, well, happening. Decide. Yes, decide within yourself. Decide to keep today simple. Any day that seems to be daunting, decide to keep that day as simple as possible. No simpler, but as simple as possible. Choose the simplest task you know you can do as a beginner step anytime things feel a little bit sticky or uncomfortable for you. Because when you can go ahead and get one small task done, you can look at the results of that one task. And it'll help you to see how today can fit well into making your dreams a reality. I encourage you to dare to break your day into manageable chunks. And then choose anyone to start with. Because not everything has to be done in order. Yeah, if you're meeting with somebody at a particular time, you need to get yourself to that spot and be ready for whatever that meeting is going to be. But a lot of times you're doing things individually, and you could rearrange them if it really were possible, right? Or at least if it were really possible that it would be useful to you. Like if it would lift up your mood to do step 12 before steps 1 through 11. A lot of times you can choose anyone. Not always. But for today, maybe what you need to do is to do step 12 instead of step 1. Or maybe step 99. I mean, if you do 100 things in a day and your favorite thing is the next to last one in the day, why not start out with that if you're in a rut in the beginning of the day? The key is that you really do take an action that fits you in today's situation. When you dare to break things down and rearrange them so that it really fits your mood as possible, it's going to help you to keep going in that day. So if you're feeling a little bit out of sorts or maybe tired or maybe you have health issues today, look for something small, something simple, and dare to do that simple, tiny task. And afterwards, look at it and recognize that you did it. Kind of pat yourself on the back, maybe really. There I am, patting myself on the back. I'm here, I'm talking to you. Okay, whatever it is that's your tiny task, pat yourself on the back. I just did. It's kind of silly, but you know, sometimes it helps. And if it doesn't help, well then don't repeat that. Try something different. I'm just trying to give you some ideas because your next action matters. And keeping yourself doing a next action is part of that pattern. So I just wanted to lift you up today to help you to start asking yourself questions so that you can start getting the kind of accomplishments, the kind of results that make a difference in your life. And a lot of times I find that that comes from when I dare to do simple, tiny tasks. Maybe not what I intended to do for a day, but something smaller. So look for something smaller when you need to. And once you've done some small things, who knows, you might be in a better position that day to do bigger things. Sometimes I can do bigger things, but quite often that comes from having dared to do smaller things first, to get myself primed and ready to go and in momentum so that things are happening for me. So I encourage you, as you do this, to pay attention to what's fun for you. Indeed, to seek out something fun. Because there are going to be days when you have days like me where my health is causing tremendous problems. But I find that when I dare to start something simple enough, I get going. I was back again for a number of days this past week where I wasn't able to walk. Not because of all those surgeries that keep causing troubles to the one foot, but because the other foot had a toe that got a little tiny problem on it. And if I'd put on shoes and gone for miles of walks on those days, probably that problem would have become much bigger. But I didn't. It happened to be very hot too, so it was probably useful not to be walking in the heat. But the past few days we had a break in the heat and my toe was doing better, so I went back to walking. Oh, not as many miles as I had been. But today I've already done 3 miles in 2 different walks. This evening I'll probably be able to go for another couple-mile walk back to where I am right now. Sometimes I have to fight over this with myself because sometimes there's too many days where I have to not walk, usually because of my right foot. But sometimes other things happen, life happens. So I get back into walking slowly. Sometimes I have to fight back just to get a quarter of a mile in. Right now, I'm very blessed that I'm able to walk a number of miles just after taking a short break from it. So it's like that with walking, but it's like that in other things in my life. Once I'm in motion, I tend to get satisfaction from the tiny results that my simple action steps put into my day. I want to get that happening for you because I know that makes it for me I'm more able to figure out one more simple task that is doable today. And I want that for you too. In extreme situations, you're going to have to choose matching tasks. And that usually means simple, tiny tasks. One day, your tasks might have to be too small for it to seem like they matter. That's happened a lot to me, especially after every surgery. But the fact that you decide to find one thing, little enough and doable enough for this day that you can tackle, well, that does matter. It's made a big difference in my life. And I want to hand that to you without the trouble that I've had to go through to get it. I want you to know that when you accomplish a tiny result on a bumpy or terrible day, it lifts you up. Tiny results matter. And that's why your next action matters, because you can get tiny results. Then you're ready to create your next action plan for that day. Sometimes you have to tear up the one you have and start over because the day's different than you expected it to be. So keep moving forward with what fits you today. Begin. Your next action matters. Thanks for listening. This is Cynthia Ann Layton signing out. Hey, got dreams? Want results? Subscribe. Bye.